Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 49. In this week's show, following feedback, we're once again taking a trip back in time to the black and white era of the show, and looking at a companion who traversed the first and second Doctors, and was named after a parrot? And so to this week's feedback.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Michael Doyle was the only contributor to our feedback section this week, and he said this. I did like Stephen. He was an interesting choice after Barbara and Ian. Susan had been replaced with another young girl, but they sort of combined the two into Stephen, which probably meant less money needing to be spent on salary for the BBC, which made them happy, I'm sure. And Purvis has the honour of being the first actor to play another part in the show before landing the companion part. Most people think about Nicholas Courtney if you ask them. Here in the States, my DVD copy of The Chase is missing the scene with the Beatles, but there's no mention of its omission on any notes. I liked his rude character in The Chase before going on to play Stephen. His accent is better than the tour director's New York accent. And his first real episode of The Time Meddler was a great start for him, since it was such a good episode, introducing the first other renegade Time Lord with a better TARDIS. Stephen kind of bumbles around for a while but gets his footing quickly. His interaction with the Doctor at the beginning is some very witty dialogue that allowed Hartnell to shine a bit. Thanks for that, Michael, and as I said in my response on the Facebook page, I've not seen Stephen in action other than the odd clip here and there, but having had the privilege of meeting Peter Purvis last September at the Regenerations Convention in Swansea, I can say what a genuine and lovely man he is.
Oh, no. I was just wondering if there was anything Joseph Lister didn't know in 1888 that might possibly help you now.
And now on to this week's black and white era companion, Polly, as played by Anneke Wills. Anneke Wills was born Anna Katerina Willis on the 20th of October 1941, and is best known for her role as Polly, opposite both William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. Her parents, Alaric and Anna Willis, planned to buy a house in the south of France, but their plan was ended by the outbreak of World War II. Alaric Wills' gambling debts forced his wife to find work, while he became a captain in the British Army and an absent figure. Anna was occupied as a companion to a blind aristocrat, a gardener and a teacher, moving Anneke and her brother Robin around the country. Wills gained her first role at the age of 11 while she was living on a houseboat in Bray in Berkshire. The film was called Child's Play, and she gave her £9 fee to her mother. Deciding then that she wanted to be an actress, she studied at the Drama and Arts Education School and RADA in London, and quickly became one of the busiest actresses of her generation. Early roles including appearances as Roberta in the second TV version of The Railway Children in 1957. At 17 she began a relationship with Anthony Newley while working on the TV series The Strange World of Gurney Slade. During the 1960s, Wills spent much of her time at the famous Troubadour coffee shop and The Establishment, and was part of the so-called Chelsea set, counting among her close friends Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, the Alberts, Sammy Davis Jr., Angela Douglas, Kenneth Moore, Mary Quant and Sarah Miles, amongst others. In 1962, Wills married actor Michael Gough, but Gough's infidelity and possessive nature led to the end of their marriage, and the couple sadly divorced in 1979. It was in 1966 that she took the role of Polly in Doctor Who, and appeared in the show until 1967, alongside William Hartnell and then Patrick Troughton. Other television credits include appearances in both The Avengers and as Evelyn in The Strange Report. She left the latter series when it was planned to switch filming to Hollywood. In November 2013 she appeared in the one-off 50th anniversary comedy homage The Five-ish Doctors reboot. Annika Wills has also played various other characters in Doctor Who audio plays produced by Big Finish, most notably Zagreus, and The Next Life in the role of Lady Louisa Pollard, the mother of 8th Doctor companion Charlie Pollard.
Doctor, it couldn't possibly have anything to do with Lister, could it?
So what about Polly? A young woman from the year 1966, she was a companion of both the first and second Doctors, and a regular in the programme from 1966 to 1967. She appears in 9 stories totalling 36 episodes. Polly first appears in the first Doctor serial The War Machines, where she's working as a secretary for Professor Brett. Brett develops the artificial intelligence known as Wotan, and Polly meets the Doctor and Dodo when they come to investigate. Polly befriends Dodo and takes her to a London nightclub called the Inferno, where they meet Ben Jackson and try and cheer up the Royal Navy sailor. When Polly's accosted by another patron at the Inferno, it's Ben who comes to her rescue. Eventually, Ben and Polly help the Doctor in their fight against Wotan when the computer tries to take over the world. They're also the bearers of the news of Dodo's decision to stay in 1966 to the Doctor, and accidentally get carried away in the TARDIS when they try to return Dodo's key. Polly, in contrast to Dodo, is a more sophisticated young woman of the 1960s, vivacious, attractive, and alternately shy and aggressive. She and Ben make an odd couple, but she is receptive of Ben's protective urges, and he in turn finds her elegant and posh, giving her the nickname Duchess. Polly is present with Ben when the Doctor regenerates for the first time, and they continue to travel with him. In the next adventure, The Highlanders, Polly and Ben are joined in the TARDIS by Jamie McCrimmon. Eventually the TARDIS finds its way back to London in 1966, in The Faceless Ones, on the very day that Ben and Polly had left, although for them about a year has passed. They decide to remain behind and resume their lives without disruption, as the Doctor and Jamie travel on. Polly was never given a last name in the series. According to production notes, she was meant to be Polly Wright, but this wasn't used in case it could be confused with previous companion Barbara Wright. In The Faceless Ones, a double of Polly is named Michelle Lepie. An apparent mishearing of this and misinterpretation of the context led to some reference works giving Polly the surname Lopez. Annika Wills suggested the name Bettingham Smith, after one of her friends. In the Virgin Missing Adventures novel Invasion of the Cat People by Gary Russell, Wright is expressly given as Polly's last name, as it was supposedly given in Jerry Davis's character breakdown and audition script sample when, as story editor, he and producer Innes Lloyd created Ben and Polly in 1966. What happens to Polly after her return to Earth isn't certain. The Doctor seems to think that Ben will become an admiral and Polly will look after him, but it's unclear if this is a prediction or simply wishing them well. In the Sarah Jane Adventures story Death of the Doctor, Sarah Jane mentions that Polly is now working at an orphanage in India with Ben. In the spin-off story Mondas Passing by Paul Grice, which takes place in 1986, it's revealed that Ben and Polly have gone their separate ways and married other people. By 1999, Polly is running a record company, has divorced and has an estranged son named Mickey. As told in the short story That Time I Nearly Destroyed the World Whilst Looking for a Dress by Joseph Lister in the Big Finish Productions anthology Short Trips Past Tense. She and Ben meet again at the end of that story and then admit their love for one another.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say I've had the time of my lives.
Just before I go, I wanted to remind you all about the shout-out. The shout-out is a new part of the show where I'll be promoting your Doctor Who Facebook pages, events or websites. However, in order to get it up and running, I need something to shout out. At the moment, I've not received anything from anyone to shout about. So if you have a Doctor Who page, event or website that you would like shouted out on the show, inbox me at Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, or email me with all the details at respectthething@outlook.com. So, until next week, when we'll be looking at the very first companion in the black and white era, Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.